Allonville was a 300-acre farm at Forest Hills, near Wagga, in southern New South Wales. In 1939, the property was purchased by the Australian government in order to establish a flight training school. Once the Second World War commenced, construction intensified, and by the 29th of July 1940, RAAF base Forest Hills was ready for operations in training and flying combat missions. Following the end of the war, it became home to the Ground Training School. In the early hours of the morning, on the 15th of May 1949, a guard heard strange whistling noises coming from one of the buildings, which was supposed to be empty. Upon investigation, he saw a figure in a passageway. The guard claimed it looked like a badly burnt man, covered in blood. He retreated and told others on duty, who came to the building. They all heard the eerie whistling sound, but none of the others were brave enough to enter the building and confront the apparition for themselves. The guards waited outside the building until daylight and then checked inside, but found nothing amiss. The ghost did not put in appearance the next night, or the next, and indeed has never been reported publicly since then. However, the sounds of whistling have been heard over the years. The type of noise made by a fire, or by someone suffering from the effects of breathing in smoke, perhaps. Apprentices were spooked by the sighting and were jumpy to sudden noises. The ghost remained a topic of conversation for weeks after, the story reaching the newspapers in June. Who or what did the guard see that night? It was recalled that there had been a tragedy on the base just 2 years before, which might have explained the phantom. On the 1st of August 1947, another guard named Mowbray had noticed flames erupting from the old RAAF administrative block about 2 o'clock in the morning. Once the alarm was raised, the Air Force firefighters soon extinguished it. An electric clock was found stopped at 1:57 AM. Mowbray had not heard any cries for help, so there was no indication anybody was inside the building, until it was checked after the fire was out. The body of a man was found in a corner of the radio room of the Civilian Aviation School, and was quickly identified as a radio operator, named Lionel John Cooper. Cooper had been born in Mortlake, Victoria, on the 15th of June 1918. He married and joined the Air Force in 1942. In 1947 he was living at 71 Peter Street, Wagga, a building which still stands today. His wife had given birth to a son about 3 weeks before Cooper died in the fire. Working in the wireless section, his shift usually started at 5:30 AM. On the fateful night he arrived at work at about 1 AM, and, sleep deprived from the new baby, had seemingly intended to sleep in a chair for a few hours. It was a cold morning, with the temperature dropping down to 3 degrees Celsius. Wearing a waterproof rubber coat, he settled down in a swivel chair, warmed by an electric radiator, and fell asleep. It was later shown that his coat had touched the element and caught fire. Probably he had slipped from his chair and knocked the radiator over. Although it appears he woke up when this happened, he slipped and hit his head on the wall. While incapacitated, he was burned and suffered smoke inhalation. He recovered as he had taken a fire extinguisher from the wall and tried to use it, but was unable to douse the fire. Before he could flee the smoke-filled room to save himself, he was overcome and perished. The official cause of death was asphyxia. His body was taken to Lilydale Cemetery in Victoria and buried on the 2nd of August. RAAF Base Forest Hills was renamed RAAF Base Wagga in 1952 and continues to operate partly as an Air Force facility, with the airfield itself the civilian Wagga Wagga Airport in 2024.